lot of guys don't feel comfortable having just any kind of deep conversation beyond pretty surface level stuff.
Yeah.
And I hope that just setting the example of being like, look, three guys can just go deeper and like see what we're really struggling with. And we've talked about like the male loneliness and loneliness in general. But for men, I think we have to be the first line of defense for each other. If men are feeling lonely, they're feeling like they can't connect, it kind of starts with you. Like if you want someone to listen to you and feel like you can open up to somebody, like you have to be that person for them too, right? You have to be that one that can sit there in that maybe uncomfortable conversation and be there for your friend if you want them to be there for you.
All right. Welcome to Better Mental Health, a podcast for men looking to build a resource and community around destigmatizing men's mental health. I'm Jamie.
I'm Blake.
And I'm Blair. Today we thought we'd talk about the podcast on the podcast. I know, so meta. We wanted to share where we're hoping to take this podcast, ask for any feedback from listeners and viewers. And from there, we wanted to check in with each other and have just an honest and vulnerable conversation about the struggles in our lives currently.
Well, how's it going for everybody? Are you guys enjoying the podcast? This has been fun.
I guess that's where we could start. Yeah, I do enjoy hopping on. It does feel, I think maybe we can all agree, or maybe I'll just speak for myself, but it does feel like it's still trying to like grasp at what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Like what's the focus?
Yeah, what's the focus? It was great to have Josh on. Go listen to that episode on Enneagram and mental health. Since he has career coaching or the coaching business, he did ask us, like, what are you guys trying to do with this podcast? You both answered, and I actually did. Listening back to it, I was like, I didn't answer.
Oh. Shoot. Well, now you should answer now.
I know. Yeah. Well, great. Like that. This is where I run into so many problems, though. Is like I feel like maybe that's why I'm speaking only for myself, because it does feel like, oh, we could do this with it. We could do this with it. Just like there's so many different ideas. Part of me is like, ooh, maybe like when Jamie and I are both licensed, this can be a place where people can go on better-mental.com and find like a therapist or a coach or somebody that they can work with. And I'm like, maybe it's just like this becomes like a better mental health counseling center, and like people can find resources. Again, we talk about wanting to make this a resource for people. I don't know, this is like where I start going in so many millions of different directions.
Yeah, I think the topic of mental health is such a broad one that you can go in so many different directions with it. And I know what you mean. I've really enjoyed all of our episodes that we've done so far. But sometimes I'm like in the back of my mind, like, do we need to like focus in a little bit? We've covered kind of a wide variety of topics from like religion and insecurities and all these different things, Enneagram, and they do tie back and relate to mental health. But I'm wondering if we need to would it make sense to be more focused, or are we doing good by covering all these different things?
Blair, when you were talking, I was like, I think I do the same thing. Like, it's excited to get carried away with like, what could this be, and the potential of better mental health. And there are so many different avenues. And for me, I feel like that only exists, the potential only exists if the podcast starts growing. And then it gets me questioning, how do we start growing, but start growing in an authentic way, in a way that doesn't feel like I don't know. Like, how do we grow? Is it just that we like get guests on who have a bigger following, and then because of their following we then have a following? Or is it that we say something that is actually revolutionary on some social media site, and then that goes viral, like Blair's video, and then we actually get listeners from that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's so hard to like get these things off the ground, I feel like. And there's the analogy that I use a lot called the flywheel, where like, well, a better analogy is just like an airplane, right? It takes like so much energy and fuel to like get it off the ground. But once it gets up in the air, then it takes significantly less energy. So like this initial stage, it's like putting in the effort just to get the foundation and get off the ground. But like, where specifically do we want to be focusing those efforts? Is it, like you said, Jamie, like, do we need to try to get some guests on just to grab onto an audience that we think would also enjoy what we're talking about? I also am trying to like just take this like one episode at a time, and like as long as we're all just enjoying it, and yes, we want this to help others, but it should also be fun and enjoyable for us. And so as long as it still accomplishes that, then
Hmm.
that hopefully is good enough as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a different thing about like when you press record and versus like when you are just like shooting the shit with your friends, like it's a different energy. Like I feel like there's more, maybe more at stake when you're like saying something. You're like, oh, I need to say something of value,
Yeah.
or
yeah,
I need
there's
to
more
make
pressure.
right,
Yeah, to say
right.
something profound or helpful. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Which I have like
Yeah.
very little of in my repertoire to begin with. So I'm like, okay.
Well, that's why like I come back to I don't think we have to be the end all experts and like have every sentence we say be super profound and groundbreaking. I was just thinking about it. Like a lot of guys don't feel comfortable having just any kind of deep conversation beyond pretty surface level stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think, well, I hope that just setting the example of being like, look, three guys can just go deeper and like
Yeah.
see what we're really struggling with. And we've talked about like the male loneliness and loneliness in general. But for men, I think we have to be the first line of defense for each other. If men are feeling lonely, they're feeling like they can't connect. It kind of starts with you. Like if you want someone to listen to you and feel like you can open up to somebody, like you have to be that person for them too, right? You have
Hmm.
to be that one that can sit there in that maybe uncomfortable conversation
Yeah.
and be there for your friend if you want them to be there for you.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can just at least set that example.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And I think one thing that's interesting about us and our dynamic is the conversations we have on the podcast. I think we go more in depth and we like, because we're in a podcast setting, we're like giving each other more time. But it's not too dissimilar to the things we get into when we're just hanging out, the three of us, or like going to dinner if we're on a catch up call or something like that. And so I think that's cool too, that we're not just like doing this podcast and it's forcing us into this dynamic to be vulnerable. Like that's just how we are as people. And
Yeah.
so,
Right.
Hmm.
My question becomes then if a man who is lonely is not typically someone who has the ability to be vulnerable, how are we showing them that that is possible and how to do that, I guess, with this podcast?
I think most men just don't have an example. Maybe their father wasn't a good example of that, or their friends growing up, never gave space for that type of thing. So hopefully we can just set the example of like, this is a normal thing to do. And
Yeah.
like,
mhm.
we should encourage this as men to be like, how are you doing, man? Like, really, what's going on? Don't just give me the, oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the actual shit you're dealing with?
There was an Instagram reel I saw of this woman talking about her husband going to play golf with his friends, and I forget exactly the details, but he comes back and he like tells his wife that his friend's getting a divorce, and she's
Hmm.
like, "What? Tell me all the
Yeah.
details and like all this stuff." He's like, "I don't know. I didn't ask." Like
He's
they
like, I
just
just did give you all the details.
yeah.
He's getting divorced.
Yeah, she's like, "What? How do you not know?" It's like none of the stuff that actually matters. You guys didn't talk about any of it, and so I
Hmm.
think that that's just like it blows my mind that that exists. Like that's shocking to me, but I think that that's more common than we realize. And I see it with our parents' generation too. It's like my dad. All my dad wants to talk about is like technology or some show he's watching or some. It's all the like different interests that he has, but it's not anything outside of that. And so I think it's good to figure out how we can help men see that there's more to life than just your interests and hobbies and things
Yeah.
you like to do.
Blair, you were asking like, well, what can we talk about to like help someone who doesn't know how to get there? I love the double click analogy that Jamie
Yeah.
you used a while back. When somebody is like talking about something that like, oh,
A
I'm
divorce.
going through a divorce,
Yeah.
double clicking in, like
Yeah.
going a level deeper, I'm going a folder deeper to be like, what happened? Like why, what
Hmm.
caused this? Like, let's get into not just the what happened, but like, what's the cause? What's the lead up? What are you feeling because you're going through this right now? It's so important to like get that stuff out in the open. And if you can be the one to double click for your friend to give them that space, then that's huge for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that the double click analogy, I've gotten feedback that that can be a little triggering to some people because it's so related to like work. They've heard it
Mm.
so much through the like inside of a work meeting or something. I heard it here first, but when I've talked to them, they're like, "Oh yeah, I hear that all the time at work and I hate it." But the second thing I wanted to say was what I want to do with this podcast is to explore the feelings somatically. And I feel like I've done that a few times when I've been in conversation with men where they're telling me that they're going through something and they're recounting all the details, the timeline, all the things that make them feel like, all right, I'm giving you all the information. And
Hmm.
I've felt myself stopping them and being like, okay, so as you're telling me, like, what are you feeling in your body? And when I've done that, I've recognized this kind of like blankness comes over them.
Hmm.
And there's like what do you mean? What am I feeling? I just told you all the things that are going on. And so that I guess is my way of double clicking into someone's experience and being like, okay, so then you're having feelings about the things that you're describing. Like those are the things that I feel like are going to tell you the most information.
Yeah, I think that one thing you're getting at, which is hard to do in a podcast setting, but I think is valuable when we get into that conversational sort of like recounting our experience, like Blair, when we had the episode on death, when you're just sharing that information, how do we then tap into pausing and saying like, are you able to actually access your feelings now about it?
Hmm.
Show up in that way on the podcast and be a little bit more, even more vulnerable. It's like a deeper layer of vulnerability that is difficult to do even in regular conversation. Like it's not, and so let alone doing that and then doing it on a podcast is a whole other thing. So I think it'd be cool if we could get there from time to time on the podcast, but easier said than done.
Hmm.
I had that whole podcast where I'm talking about like my parents' death, and
Yeah.
as watching it
Hmm.
back, I'm like, man, I don't feel like I was like even expressing like any emotions. Nothing was flowing in that moment. Maybe it was because we were on camera, but you've probably gotten there a few times, Jamie. I've seen emotion kind of building in you, and when you're sharing something, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. I want more of.
Mm. I still feel like I stifle or, hold back or
Yeah,
whatever, but
it's natural. I feel
um,
like it's the vulnerability
Yeah,
I think
for
that we're trying to push down.
mhm.
I was thinking about your example of like you tried to ask, what are you feeling about that situation? And they're like, what do you mean? I mean, that points to the fact that like so many men don't understand their emotions, they're not in touch with them, or just can't put words behind it.
Hmm.
And so maybe there's ways to go deeper without just asking that so directly. Is there another way to like going back to the divorce example, instead of just being like, oh, how are you feeling about going through this divorce? Is there a different question that could be asked to encourage that person to go deeper without it just feeling like an interrogation, I guess, for lack of a better term?
I just took a counseling skills and techniques. And the whole focus in the course was basically to, rather than even ask questions, was just to like reflect back what you're hearing, like content and emotions. And so I think that that's another thing that it's another tool in the arsenal that I kind of forget about because you don't do it in conversation, but I think it helps people go deeper is to like reflect back what you're hearing. And then people actually feel heard because you're like, here's what I'm hearing you say, and then they can be like, oh, that's what you interpreted based on what I just said, like let me share more information, or you got that right, I feel so heard, let me go deeper.
Yeah.
I think that's why I focus on the connection with the body. I feel like that is the thing that men do have access to. And I feel like it is a good jumping off point to what are you feeling? Like, yeah, yes, I'm asking specifically about in your body. So that way you can be like, okay, I'm feeling like an anxiety in my chest or like a heaviness in my chest. It's like, okay, so can we like talk about what that feeling might be, what that somatic experience might be trying to tell you? And then I feel like that's an avenue towards, actually getting into like, oh, wow, actually I'm feeling way sadder than I thought or way more frustrated with my partner than I thought I was actually feeling. The tendency, not just with men, but with everybody is just to kind of not be a problem and to shoo it off and be like, okay, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The other thing that came up in a reading recently was talking about the dictionary of I don't knows, and as a therapist, using someone saying, oh, I don't know, as a way to be like, you don't know what, you don't know what it is that I'm asking, you don't know what it is you're feeling, and kind of trying to dissect I don't know,
Mm.
because I know that so many times in therapy, when I've been asked a question and I'm like, I don't know, it's just
Hmm.
kind of been a stop instead of like an avenue, again, another like avenue to figure out what it is that you're actually feeling.
Yeah, that's cool. I hadn't heard that concept. There are a lot of moments that I've come up against in my counseling practice where I hit a wall because I don't know how to, I don't know where to take it or don't know how to like handle someone's thing. And so it's cool to have those tools that help you go deeper in a new way. I don't want to move on too quickly, but one thought I had is if you are a recurring listener and somebody who's been enjoying the podcast, we would love to have your feedback. We'd love to have you guys reach out and send us thoughts, opinions, and questions you have for us. We don't have a ton of recurring listeners at this point, but those who are, it means a lot, and we'd love to have some feedback.
The feedback I've gotten from someone who's listened to several episodes, especially about insecurities and, you know, some of the topics, this person was very excited about all the things that we're talking about and loving that we're putting ourselves out there so much. They were just talking more specifically about, all right, so everything that you all are talking about is circling the core issue of the patriarchy, and that the patriarchy does not just hurt women, it affects and hurts everyone, including men, in the ways that we were describing, in the ways that we've talked about on this podcast. So I think there was feedback to talk about more of those core issues.
I think that's valid. I mean, I agree that the patriarchy doesn't just hurt women and minorities. It definitely hurts men as well. That term patriarchy, I feel like it's similar to the manosphere, where like even just saying the term starts to trigger some strong emotions.
Yeah.
And I think that is a topic that we should tackle. The lessons learned from the manosphere episode we did is like the people who we're trying to reach don't just immediately click away because we mentioned the term patriarchy. Like I want to bring people into that conversation, and how do we frame it so that people aren't just immediately like, oh, I heard that term and now I'm not going to listen.
Yeah.
I think it's really an important one, but
that's a really good point. I think that's in the setup too. We can talk about that, sort of talk about that at the beginning of the episode, you know, and just say like, hey, we know this is a triggering word. Try and stick with us and see if what you're listening to makes sense or doesn't make sense, that sort of thing.
And that's when I want to bring like some more hard data to as well, because I think we probably agree fundamentally on that it's an issue, but having some like hard data to back up what we're saying, which I know the data is there, just it's a matter of like compiling it and being able to like speak to the specific points.
On the flip side, we've gotten some positive feedback about specifically our Christian Science episode from the Christian Science community. So those of you who don't know what that is, that's the religion we grew up in. And we just shared our experience growing up in the religion and talked about it from having left and deconstructed from Christian Science. And so that's been our most popular episode. And I think that it's interesting because it doesn't get into the broader topics that we've been talking about the most, you know, but it's definitely within our community and the people we're in touch with the most relatable. So I don't know if that means we should lean into it more or if it's just something where we should bring it back and it should just be a recurring thing from time to time.
There's a lot to cover there. And I think I had a person in my cohort in my program reach out to our larger WhatsApp chat and was like, I'm working with a client who is escaping a cult. Does anybody have any experience with that or resources? And I immediately DM'd them privately. I'm like, I would love to chat with you just to see like what this is. And it felt weird to even put that out there. Like, oh, I have this experience, not from treating someone that way, but from, I don't know, escaping myself. It was just an interesting conversation topic that I felt a little bit more experienced to actually speak to, which is kind of a rarity for me. Usually I'm like, I don't have a lot of expertise in anything, so I'm just more of a questioner and listener for things. But I think there is value in that conversation that we were having, and I think there's more to explore there for us for sure. I also think the other things that we have going on in our lives are pretty different than a lot of men in the world. Me being non-monogamous, Jamie, your parenting decisions, Blake, you're not choosing to have children. There's bunch of different ways that we are living our lives that are kind of counter to the normative way that that society kind of views things. And I think there's benefit to speaking to those experiences and the feelings and thoughts that are coming to us about living differently than, you know, what society standards are.
Yeah. Well, that might be a decent enough segue to start talking about
Check in
how we're doing currently. Yeah. We are all unique, and we, you know, everybody is, even the men who are more stereotypically, I don't know what I would say, less in touch with their emotions. I think they all have access to their uniqueness, and it's just a willingness to step into some discomfort and share what's actually going on with them. And then we start to get to see the unique aspect of who they are and the real stuff. So how are you guys doing?
I'm fine. No, I'm just kidding.
Perfect. Me
Also,
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
also good if you're
Jamie,
fine.
you good?
Yeah, yeah, I'm great. Of
Cool.
course,
All right.
always good.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
I don't know. I think I came on to this conversation today feeling definitely low, but not like super low, not depressed, but not enlivened, not feeling like excited. I mean, I'm just overwhelmed, I think, with the work that I have to do for my program. And also I'm coming back from a family trip. It's a very rustic experience. So there's, I have four siblings, three of them were able to make it. It was just like it was a lot of children, a lot of energy. Yeah, I also don't have a lot of experience with children, so I was like trying to get them to do something, and they're very, against power or authority, and they're just like, well, but I'm an adult and you're a child. Do what I say, and just kind of going back and
Because you
forth with
used to
them.
do what adults said when you were a kid,
Yeah,
right, Blair?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
all the time. So I don't know. How am I feeling? I'm all over the place. I'm scattered. I'm feeling overwhelmed, I guess.
Hmm.
When you get super overwhelmed, what's your default state? Like, what do you typically do?
Mm. Distract, distraction,
Mm.
YouTube.
So it's
That's
so
like it.
readily available. It's always
It's
there,
it's
waiting.
always there. There's a billion different things going on in politics because I like to follow politics for some reason. Science, like I watch a lot of like what's going on with James Webb Space Telescope and just getting it's very like out of my own experience. I think that's my typical default. It's a good question.
It's numbing almost, of like, I just don't want to deal with this, so I'm gonna
Yeah. I have so much.
drink.
So
Hmm.
instead of starting to knock off any of the things that I need to do, I'm just going to put them all off.
That's pretty much the reaction I have when I get overwhelmed too. It's like I
Yeah,
just don't want to deal with any of this. So, but of
Yeah.
course, the irony is that it makes it so much worse
yeah.
Hmm.
later on when
Definitely.
all that stuff is due.
Yeah. Why did I do this to myself later? And then I get like depressed because I didn't do it. I shoot through all the things that I need to do super quick. And then I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I can do that again. And the cycle
Yeah.
continues.
Oh my
Don't you
God.
wish you could bottle that feeling? Oh, I know I'll feel so good when, like, now that I've got it, or I feel good now that I've gotten it all done. Why can't I just bottle that feeling and then use that as motivation for when I can do this stuff like 2 weeks ahead of time or a week ahead of time
Yeah.
and then just get it done?
Yeah.
Ugh.
We have a group chat in my counseling cohort, and this woman texted on Tuesday. Like our homework is pretty much it's like on a weekly cycle, and my homework's always due kind of either on Friday or on Sunday. And so every time I get to Sunday, I'm like cramming and doing exactly what you're talking about, Blair, and cramming it all in. And then I get done and I'm like, oh, that was so much easier than I thought. Or not so much easier, but it's just like I'm done. Like it feels so good. I wish I had done this earlier and I could have been
Hmm.
free all week. And this woman texted on Tuesday being like, I just finished all my homework. I handed everything in. And I was just like, fuck, I am so jealous of you and your ability to do that. Like, where does that come from? How does that work?
People are
Yeah.
so different, man. Brains are fascinating. I mean, I had a partner in the past who I've never had this before, never really seen it before. If there was a due date, it's in a month and a half, 6 weeks away. She would have 4 weeks was her deadline. That was her due
Mm.
date. And then she would have it done by her due date. And then we had trimesters in college. They were 10 weeks long. By like week 8 or week 8.5, she was done with everything. And then she was just able
Hmm.
to like live this life of that I could never even fathom of like not having to worry about an actual due date of an assignment because she had finished everything.
Hmm.
Blair, do you ever have moments where, or have there been times in your life where you felt on top of things and felt like the cycle is broken and you're seeing more success and
No,
yeah,
no.
me neither.
And yeah, I'm like, I don't know what that would feel like. I don't know what that would look like. I think there's some ideal that I envision of like, oh, there are people who do that, and that is the ideal. It just feels out of the range of possibility for me. So I think I've just kind of succumbed to the brain that I have.
Yeah, I relate so much to this, but for me, it brings up a sense of shame. Like I don't measure up to what people are capable of or what I'm capable of because I see that other people can do it, but I can't. For me, like I've gone and got, like I have an ADHD diagnosis and I know that it's like a real thing. And at the same time, my wife is not somebody with ADHD. She's able to like sit down and grind and get work done and not do it all last minute. And so
Have either of you guys tried Adderall, speaking of ADHD?
I was going to mention, yeah, the way that I've described it is when I am overwhelmed and I have a lot of things to do. I know that there's a lot of things that I need to do, but it's like it's behind this wall. I keep running into this wall whenever I think about starting it or think about attempting to do the things that I need to do. And there are things that can kind of bring that wall down a little bit, like smoking weed a little bit will sometimes bring it down. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can climb over and do like a few of the things that are on the other side of the wall. And when I have tried Adderall before in the past, it's like that wall just is like obliterated.
Hmm.
I think a lot of that wall is fear. It's like the fear of not doing it correct,
mhm.
fear of not doing the right thing or whatever the case may be. But it's that fear is completely eliminated. Even if it's just sending an email or something, if I would took an Adderall, it was like that fear of, oh, I need to say it the right way, it was gone. And I just was like, all right, I'll just send the
Yeah.
email. And if it doesn't come out the right way, then we'll figure it out. I don't know if
Hmm.
that's your experiences of it, Jamie, but that was my experience of using Adderall.
I've taken Focalin. I don't know how it relates to Adderall, you know, what the like chemical compound of
Yeah.
whatever's in there and how it
Yeah.
changes the brain,
Yeah.
whatever. But I think that when I've taken it, it demonstrates the value of the medication and how it breaks down that wall. Because for me, I am able to just like crank on stuff and get so much more done. I don't like the way it feels though. I don't like the way I feel on it. I don't like the way it messes with my sleep. At the same time, I'm so much more productive and all of that stuff, that shame cycle and the spiral that it solves that problem. So it's this weird, like, which one's worse? You know,
That's super interesting.
that's my difficulty with it. But
Hmm.
it might just mean finding the right medication, and maybe there's a different medication that I can take that might feel a little better.
Yeah.
But it costs money and time to
Yeah.
figure it out.
There definitely are other types of medication because right now Steph just got diagnosed ADHD as well. And like they put her on one thing and she didn't like the way that she felt on it at all. And so she went back and told them that. And then they're like, okay, let's try this. And it's been great. So like it might just be finding the right
Yeah.
thing. But I will also say that when I've tried it a handful of times, it's like, yeah, same thing. Like, oh my God, are other people just like this all the time? They can just lock in on something and get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I would have just like the most productive days and feel good in general. Like just my mood was better too.
So what's stopping you guys from getting an ADHD diagnosis and just getting the medication and doing it?
I don't know where to begin.
Getting a diagnosis.
Laziness.
Yeah. A laziness, probably a fear of what does that look like? Who do I talk to? It's more of a lack of knowledge on directionality.
I was saying laziness for me, not necessarily for you, Blair.
Yeah.
Wasn't trying
Oh, no, it's okay. It is laziness for me too. The thing that was coming to mind for me is like also when I do feel this overwhelm, when I do have the wall and I'm not able to get things done the way that I need to, I think the feeling that ends up kind of coursing underneath all of it is a lack of belonging in like the way that society is currently laid out. It's like the
Yeah.
ones that are productive, that are able to be on Adderall without being on Adderall, or like be super productive, they're the ones that are going to be successful in this experience. And
Yeah.
since I'm not able to be that, what is my ability to succeed in this world that I feel like is not set up for someone with my brain, personality? That's the kind of the
Yeah.
underlying feeling that gets me in very low spaces.
Yeah. It feels like a trap because it's like the world is set up for those who achieve and can be productive. And the interesting thing for me, like looking at AI, which is a whole other topic, but it's like AI is going to replace a lot of productivity. It's going to replace a lot of that energy. And so what's left for us to do? What's left for us to do is be creative or
enjoy life.
yeah, given that the world figures out how to properly take care of one another and we can all have financial stability, then I think then that's world design more for people with whatever ADHD actually is. Like, I think it's just like my personal belief is that ADHD is just like the world isn't set up for success for us. That doesn't mean we're broken. It just means that we're not supposed to fit into the system in this way.
Mm.
And we need to kind of restructure how society works in order to better fit our speed and our interests and our flow. And so that's kind of how I want to look at it in order to stop that shame cycle, is to be like, this isn't a wrong thing with me, it's a wrong thing. Like society is a little bit broken. I'm not broken, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the kids who are really good at school. They're just, their brains are just wired to work really well within that system and get the good grades and the accreditations. And then there's other people who don't fit in with that structure of a typical school day or just like the routine of it. But that doesn't mean that they're not of value. They have a different skill set, different way that their mind works. Society at large, especially in the US, just like capitalism, the way that works and how those who grind constantly are admired and rewarded in many cases. That sets the expectation that everybody should do that. Like that's the way it
Hmm.
should be. But some people just fit into that mold better. They work well within that system where others don't. But to your point, Jamie, that doesn't mean that just because you don't fit into that mold doesn't mean you don't have value and that you can't
Yeah.
find a place where you do fit in. Maybe it's a more niche community or different type of lifestyle. I feel like we got a little off of Blair and
Yeah.
his
Do you feel like we checked in with you enough, Blair, on how you're doing?
I feel like full check-in would be a whole episode. And it's
Yeah.
not necessarily
Yeah.
like I am
Yeah.
needing that, and and also like would that just be a therapy session? Like,
You could look at it in the way that life is therapy and like just like getting attention is therapy, you know? It's like,
right,
but we don't need to
therapeutic.
structure it in the official like context of therapy. But
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
kind of.
yeah. Well, to
yeah.
get at some real stuff. How are you doing, Jamie? How are you feeling?
Let me just think for a second about how I'm actually doing. Um, I feel as though, like, if I were to answer how school's going in a real way, like, this is kind of the first thing that comes up. I feel like I'm living in a constant state of anxiety because of school. I was having this realization that I was not a school person. Aside from the social aspect of school, like, I just wanted to get through it and didn't thrive in that environment and had so many different things loaded into that, like anxieties about speaking in front of the classroom, anxieties about performing on papers, anxieties about class presentations, anxieties about class discussions, whatever it was, it was just like an anxiety ridden place for me. And so
Hmm.
now being in my master's program, I'm adding that element, but I also am a parent. I have a job. I have multiple jobs if I'm looking at life realistically. I'm working our wedding photography business. I'm helping Lauren with her side hustle. We have this podcast. I'm a parent, and add a layer of anxiety to that about school. I feel like I'm just trying to put my head down and sort of get through. I have therapy sessions where I talk about this anxiety and or whatever it is, but the reality is I don't think that's going to go away until I really start to get more comfortable with the career. And it's like also intimidating to go into a whole new thing and shift my energy in that direction. And am I going to be a good therapist? Am I going to be able to, like, I had a one-on-one session with someone yesterday where we like practiced like a mock session and she did so much better than I did. And I was just like, I feel like a fraud. I shouldn't be here.
Mm.
What do you mean she did better? Like what actions do you see from her that you're like, wow, that's better?
She's a life coach. She's a life coach. She's worked with, obviously like a lot of people in the context of like what therapy looks like, but it's in life coaching. So she just had that like air about her, like she's just done this for a long time, and she just was very confident in the way she was approaching the session. Whereas I was like way more cautious, messing up, trying to figure out what to say in this moment. And so I just had that direct comparison. It's hard not to go down that rabbit hole.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Exactly. I know intellectually that that's true and that
Yeah.
I shouldn't be doing that, but the reality is it's hard not to.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I just feel like the overall thing is kind of like you said, Blair, like when I'm feeling these negative feelings of anxiety or overwhelm or whatever it is, the default is to distract myself. And so I feel very not present in my life.
Mm.
And I feel like I'm looking 2 years out. Like I feel like every ounce of me is just pushing for 2 years out, not right now. And the only times I actually feel present are when I'm parenting and I'm like getting to play with Avit and just like be really in the moment with Avit. And those are like moments of respite between the chaos. And Lauren and I haven't had enough time to connect either amongst all of this madness. So it's another aspect of
Hmm.
what's going on.
Mm.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It is a lot.
Why did you say sorry?
That's a lot. I'm not sorry about it, but that's also
There
a
you
lot.
go. Yeah.
that is a lot to deal with. And like as a callback to our Enneagram episode, like being the nines that we are, like our core desire is like to want just like peace and
Yeah.
calm. And nines don't typically thrive in like an environment of chaos and
Yeah.
lots going on, I feel like. So
Yeah.
to throw yourself into that is definitely difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for anybody, but just knowing that you're similar to me and that like that's probably your core motivation. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with any of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's too much.
The irony is though that I put myself in this position
I was just gonna
to
say that.
create a life that is simpler, because on the other side of this, I'll be a therapist and I will set my schedule and that will be my only thing. And that's what I really want, is to just be a therapist and be a dad, and then have date nights with Lauren and feel free to do that, and have time for friends and just feel like I have spaciousness in my life and balance. So the ultimate goal is to get there, but I feel like I'm in the midst of some turmoil.
When did you feel like you had the balance that you needed in your life, or have you ever felt that?
Because of being a wedding photographer, our life has been so seasonal and inconsistent that I don't know that I've ever really had quote unquote balance. It's been either I'm going at 200% or I'm going at like 10%, because it's wedding season and we're just like we're shooting weddings, we're editing, we're constantly going. And then when it's the off season, I have all the time in the world and I do nothing. I go do activities that I love to do. I go surf, I go climb, I go mountain bike, whatever it is. I'm just like having fun. That's all pre being a dad. And now it looks different. Like it's like in my off season, I'm playing more with Avid or having more time to just enjoy being a dad. But I'm really looking forward to whatever it looks like in terms of just like having a schedule and knowing what that's like. Like I just don't know what that's like. It's so rare in this industry to have that feeling. So
It kind of sounds like you and Blair in a similar spot right now, just like the overwhelming, it's just all overwhelming. Is there anything that you found that has helped?
taking ADHD medication. Honestly, like it's like when I take that, it's great. But like I said, I don't like the way it feels. So that seems like kind of the only solution. I take it when I'm having like a really hard day. The challenge for me is that I don't have normal health insurance. I have something different because we're self-employed and health insurance is all fucked. We use something called health share. And so certain things like ADHD medication would be all out of pocket. And so I don't have the opportunity to just try different meds and have it be covered or have that figured out. So something I'll figure it out when I'm making money as a therapist.
That concept that we were talking about of there's so much to do and like you feel better once it's all done, and like you're doing that with the long term, the very long term
Yeah.
goal of like I know that where this is all heading,
Yeah.
but I'm taking on this like short term pain
Yeah.
to get there. Like you said, you put yourself in this situation because you're trying to set up a better life for yourself, but also because you want to grow from this experience, right? And like
Yeah.
when we put ourselves into a state of discomfort, like go outside of our comfort zone, that's where we grow the most.
Yeah.
And it feels bad when you're in it, but then you look back on it and you go, yeah, that was tough, but like look at where I am now.
Yeah. I feel so accomplished.
Yeah, because otherwise you could just quit and
Yeah.
go
That's
back
one
to your
option.
usual routine.
Yeah.
And that would probably feel good now, like, oh, I'm relieved I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. But then 2 years from now, you'd be like, oh,
Yeah. I
I'd
wish
be
I had
done
just pushed
now.
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Blake, you're one of your strengths, I don't know if you know this, but one of your strengths is you're a really good like natural reflector slash like you're good at taking information and summarizing slash like reflecting. And so appreciate that
Thanks.
about you. And I'm using that as a segue
Thanks,
to put
man.
the focus on you.
That's good.
As long as you feel complete, Jamie.
I do. And like you said, Blair, I think that to really dive into my mental health, I feel like it would take a whole episode. And that's what would help me to feel like,
This is
completely.
sort of an abbreviated version of what I think would be a full conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's still
okay.
helpful to share.
Mm-hmm.
I feel good
Yeah.
about what I've talked about.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. Blake, what's going on with you, man? How are you doing?
Yeah, there's a few things going on right now with me. So I didn't actually tell you guys this yet, but my uncle actually just passed away.
Mm.
Oh man.
This is my mom's brother, and I didn't know him very well. Like, I probably haven't seen him in 15 years. I guess the emotion, the like sadness that I'm feeling more right now is towards my mom. Obviously, I'm sad for the whole family, but like right now, I'm thinking about my mom and how she's handling this. And I've talked to her, I've checked in with her a few times, and I'm actually going down to see her this weekend as well. And then the service is next week. So I'm going out for that as well. But I was thinking a lot about our episode on death and just how can I best support my mom in this moment. And I think for her, I think she likes the check-ins and being there for support. But it's hard to know exactly like what she needs because I don't know if she knows, and if she did, I don't know if she'd fully communicate that
Mm.
to me. So I'm just trying to be somewhat proactive, like give her some space, space if that's what she needs, but also like I want to, be there for her too. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's been,
Was she close with
on
her
my mind.
brother?
I wouldn't say super close, but they would talk somewhat regularly. My mom's side of the family is not big talkers, which is funny. My dad's side is a lot more talkative. Like we'll be a little bit more open about things. Well, secret, the whole another rabbit hole. I need to go down there. But yeah, my mom's side of the family has always been very like stoic. That's the term I use because that's what my grandfather. That was the stage he kind of set
Yeah.
for that side of the family.
Yeah.
Very stern, just kind of tough it out type of attitude. Yeah, so dealing with that stuff. Talked to my cousin a few times as well. So his daughter, she's an only child. She said to me, like, she really wished she had a sibling right now, like to have somebody in this moment who like could feel like what she was feeling, I guess, and be
Yeah.
able to relate to somebody on the same level. I actually sent her our episode on death too.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Hopefully that's helpful.
and yeah, she said she loved it. So
Good.
yeah, so that was probably the main thing that's been on my mind because other than that, things have been pretty chill right now. Work is going pretty smooth. It actually feels like kind of quiet, I guess, because it's summer and lots of people are on vacation. And then I've been going to the gym pretty much every day, and I just feel so much better, like
Yeah.
after a workout. And I've really been enjoying that, like getting back into an actual gym and not working out on the home gym, the tonal.
Yeah.
The tonal was great for a long time, but working out in a gym just has a different vibe.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I've been feeling good because of that.
It's crazy how much a fitness routine can boost your mood, and especially as Enneagram 9, 8, 9s, and 1s are all body types. And I think the more we can be in touch with our body and be aware of our body and take care of our body, the more we actually are able to then check in. It's like you're engaging muscles, then you become more aware of those areas. And then when what you were asking or saying, Blair, at the beginning about like somatic experience, I feel like we're able to be more in touch with that if we're engaging the body.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Something I feel like I'm missing, but
One other thing that I've been struggling with, it's funny, like I get forgetful about like the things that I'm dealing with sometimes because
Defense mechanism.
it's still that like natural inclination, yeah, to just like suppress it a little bit. But so on my other account where most of my content revolves around like dealing with losing your hair at like an early age and accepting the bald look, because I've been working on this for a while and I just feel like it has not been getting the traction. And so of course the negative thoughts come in like, am I wasting my time? Am I actually helping anyone? I know in the back of my mind there's an audience for this. And so then my mind says, well, if there's an audience, maybe you're not the right person to deliver the message. Those thoughts start to spiral. A few days ago, I was like, maybe it's just time to throw in the towel and just give it up. I've been working on it for a while and it just hasn't gotten the traction I want. And then, of course, anytime that happens, then like the next day, somebody reached out and was like, I want you to know you're my hero. Like your videos have helped me so much. And well, I'm like, okay, well then I guess I got to keep going.
Yeah. We haven't gotten
That's
any
awesome.
comments like that on our stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask more about those thoughts that are coming to you? If you were able to kind of sit in what they feel like or what they sound like, are you able to kind of put a voice to it or an image or a physical body or representation of those thoughts as they're kind of occurring to you?
That's a good question. I don't necessarily like put sort of like figure or voice behind it. Like it just feels like my thoughts.
Yeah.
And so because it's coming from me, then it's like, okay, then if I'm second guessing myself, then other people probably are too. And that's why the thoughts start to like spiral, because you can just like continue to go down that negative path when it feels like it's your own thoughts. Like ironically, like when I get a negative comment from somebody else, like I can sort of disassociate from that and be like, this is just somebody who's trying to be a troll, or I'm not going to take them seriously because I don't want to associate with the type of people who like feel the need to leave negative comments on
Yeah.
people's videos.
Yeah.
It depends on my mood. Sometimes the negative comments get to me a little bit more some days than others, but in general, I can kind of like disregard those.
But when they're coming from inside the house.
Yeah, exactly. The ones that are coming from inside the house are the ones I struggle with the most.
I think that's what I was curious to know, if there was a way to make them a little bit more external so that maybe you're able to dismiss them a little bit more. This all comes from in the reading that I did in my program about the inner critic. And I remember having the same discussion when they're like, okay, so like, let's talk about, close your eyes. Can you depict like a color or, an image, or how does the voice that you're hearing sound? I was like, it's me. It's like, I got nothing. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I don't think I've made a lot of progress in externalizing the inner critic very much, but yeah, I was just curious if that was something you're able to do. Maybe we'll do a larger exercise with that at some point.
That would be a good one. I think a lot of people struggle with inner critic issues.
Yeah, I could use that too.
And actually a positive thing, because this I think calls back to probably like one of the first episodes we did where we were talking about like a Reddit post, and I think we were talking about like men rarely get compliments, and the ones that they do get, they like, you'll remember them forever.
Yeah.
So I got one just yesterday that I think I will probably remember forever. I was just going to pick up food, and the person goes, "You have an impressively thick beard." And I was like, "Thank you."
Impressively
That's
thick.
I was like, "Wow, thank you." I was like, I grew it myself.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's a great one.
I'm gonna hang on to that one for a while.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Those can stick around for a while, the good ones.
I think it's also a good reminder that it's good to celebrate the positive too. Like, it's easy to kind of dwell on the negative, and it's important to give it the space to breathe, but also it's important to let the wins have their moment too, which I always forget. Like, I'm someone who struggles to even like write gratitude or think in gratitude terms. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
Me too.
Our brains are just wired to look for the negative a little bit more. And I think that it's actually a really good exercise to do like a gratitude journal every night, because that rewires your brain. It trains your brain to start looking for the more positive things that happen throughout the day. God, I need to get back into doing that, because the key is to like write down 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for that day, not just like in general, because then you're looking for things that you're going to like write down in your journal like the next day.
Love that.
Yeah, there's this like weird, this funny thing whenever I like start doing something like that is it reminds me, I think, of like what a parent or some authority figure would tell me to do in order to be better. Kind of maybe coming from Christian Science too. It's like you think positive thoughts and then you're healed, sort of thing. So I struggle to put myself in that position to do it on my own, because I feel like I'm then giving in to like letting the authority figure win. Like my rebellious nature wants to be like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Well, I do think one of the good takeaways from Christian Science for me was that it is a good reminder that your mind is actually incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Man's Search for Meaning. Blair, I know you read that one. Some people survived in those camps, some people didn't. A lot of times it came down to, well, he talks a lot about like the mentality. If you had a mentality that this was it and like you weren't going to get past it, you weren't going to get through it, then you were more likely to not. And those who maintained the positive view of like, this will end, like I will get through this, there's something better on the other side of this, it had a higher chance of getting through one of the worst experiences that humanity could ever experience.
Yeah.
So like your mind is incredibly powerful. Now, is it going to bring about miraculous healings? Maybe not, but
Check in on the next episode.
having a positive mindset is will bring about better things into your life than having a negative one.
Yeah.
Definitely. Words of wisdom for the day.
I just want to reiterate the idea of, if you've made it this far in the episode, and you've listened to more than one episode of ours, that means you're a recurring listener, and we value you so much.
So much.
And really, really do appreciate anybody who's
Part of an exclusive club.
Yeah. So exclusive that it's free. We would love to just have your thoughts and opinions, and would love for you to share this with anybody if you're finding any value in it, and would also love for you to subscribe.
Click that
And like.
subscribe bell.
Follow, like, subscribe, comment.
Yeah, all those things.
One other thing is, if you have any ideas for or connections to guests who you think would be valuable to the better mental health concept, anything that we've been talking about, please message us with that as well. So,
All right.
all right.
Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.